Hey there, comic book fans. I am back from the comic shop again this week, and a pretty light week. After last week's heavy week, only 4 comics this week, including this World's Finite Cerebus #1. 24 pages, $4. Mostly bleeping reprints. Well, it's actually from the web. I guess you can read these all on the web. I've never tried to. I like the printed matter. But this is also the Cerebus that Dave Sims said is the Cerebus #1 that has the lowest print run since the original Cerebus #1. I guess if you parody covers that nobody really remembers from the 1940s, nobody, everybody was into that Spider-Man 300 cover from last month. Parody, but this one is like from a World's Finest, I don't even know what number, from the 40s. With it was like, I think it was Batman and Robin and Superman on the barrels of the gun. Must have been the early 40s since it was a battleship. A Cerebus AV production. But yeah, this is if you like comic strips, that's what this is. This is the reprints of comic strips. So every page is its own strip. It's not a continuing story. It's jokes like Peanuts or Doonesbury or Calvin and Hobbes or whatever else you got. So there you go. Cerebus, World's Finite Cerebus, issue #1. And next we have Manifest Destiny, issue number 34. As our intrepid Corps of Discovery continues across the country. It's Lewis and Clark and the Corps of Discovery, as they were called. Walking Dead ad. They're still wintering somewhere off the Missouri River. I can't remember where. Nice artwork with this watercolor-like coloring. They're facing monsters. Let's see, last issue. Someone betrayed them. Somebody murdered someone. We found out that, I can't even remember the name of the Indian woman. Sacagawea? She's the one who's helped. That's her right there, leading him across. She just had a baby, and they just found out last issue that the rank and file did. I think Lewis and Clark knew it. That the baby has something to do with a human sacrifice to the monsters that are running across the country. There's monsters all out in the middle of the country in this Lewis and Clark world. It's not our world. And something to do with Sacagawea's baby, she's having a baby with the French explorer who's her husband, and something about the baby being half European and half Indian. They're gonna sacrifice it to some monster to make peace, and meanwhile there's a mutiny going on. So that's what we saw. The guns. That's what these guns pointing at Lewis and Clark are. They got back to their fort, their winter fort, and there's a mutiny. So we'll see what happens this issue. But it's been a fun series. Let's give a shout out to whoever does it. Chris Dingus, Matthew Roberts, Tony Akins, Owen Gianni. Okay, there we go. And our third comic of the week is Saga has reached issue number 50. And we get a family portrait frame cover. And this one's looking a little warped. I think they oversaturated the cheap paper they're printing it on. But yeah, hey, it's one of the only $2.99 comics left from Image. But it's been a fun 50-issue run, and I've heard some people say that Saga isn't as good as it used to be. But to me, Saga was always a B level comic, and I'm fine with a solid B. I wasn't as excited about it in the beginning as everyone else, and I'm not as down on it now as everybody else. I still think it's as good as it was at the beginning. And I still like it. Like Saga's a solid B for me. It's not the greatest comic ever, but I like it. So, all sorts of fun stuff going on with our Prince Robot there, and it's a family story, a long rambling These are 2 random journalists who hooked up with our friends. There's all sorts of stuff going on in Saga that to tell you too much of the plot would I don't even know too much of the plot. Basically, these are our main family here. The whole story is narrated by that little girl when she's an adult, and they're they're on two sides of a war. She's got wings. There's one side, and he's got horns. That's the other side of the war. And they fell in love and had a kid together. And the wing, and it would destroy the universe if anybody found out that they were married. I don't know why it would destroy the universe, but it would. But anyway, Saga issue 50. And our final new book of the week is Highest House. Issue number 2 from IDW, $4.99. I really enjoyed issue 1. So we got some spot varnish again. You can see just she is glossy, and the rest of the cover has a matte finish. That means they put, that's called spot varnishing. They just varnished and made glossy the section. Looks like they made a little bit of the logo glossy too. That's just one of those one of those specialty things they do, a little spot varnish. But I just found out this was originally published in France. That's why it's at the European graphic album size. And they were published in France as 64-page hardcovers. They're being published over here as 32-page soft covers. I assume they're going to make a hardcover version of it sometime. But I really enjoyed the first issue. Some medieval stuff, a little magic elements thrown in, great art. I love the size for the art. Though I have to say, I'm a little annoyed that they didn't bring it out over here in hardcover first. Even though I'm perfectly fine with the soft cover. Quite often, I mean, I like hardcover stuff, but quite often it's tough. I find it easier to read stuff in softcover or regular comic floppy format. It's got better. You know how in those cooking shows they say certain food has mouth feel? I think the hand feel of this is very good. And the hand feel sometimes of comic books themselves is better than trade paperbacks or hardcovers. And especially a well-made regular flop. I mean, this has great hand feel. I mean, Saga, on the other hand, crappy hand feel. Crappy. This, good hand feel. So even though I'm kind of annoyed that I didn't have a choice to get it in hardcover before this, I like it in this version. So it's like I might not have even bought the hardcover. But anyway, Highest House, good comic, really enjoy it. And I got this one last week, Berlin, issue number 22, and I just wanted to say that this is the last issue of Berlin. I wasn't sure last week when I got it if it was or not. But sure enough, issue number 22 is the last issue of Berlin. And it's been going on since 1996. I've been buying it. So 22 issues in 22 years. And it's finally done. And I just read they're putting... I know you can get the first 2 volumes in trade paperback. You can probably put out the 3rd volume also in trade paperback. But they said they're putting out a hardcover of this in the fall. So if you ever wanted to read Berlin, wait till the fall. And it's coming out in a nice hardcover. And give it a read then. If you're a maniac and want to track down all these issues, good luck. I don't know how easy it is to find, but because 22 issues over 22 years means there wasn't a ton of them printed. But just wanted to let you know, last issue of Berlin came out. Finally, we'll give you a look at our background art. These were done for my Tourmaline Mystique set of fortune-telling cards. Oh, that one's got no name or no. I think these one. Which I made a set of fortune-telling cards. See, that one's solid. That's the name. I think there was a date on the back. There we go. Did these back in 04. Wow, in this very month. These are the pencils to it. I inked these eventually and colored them and made a set of 48 fortune-telling cards, sort of like the tarot, but with all, different concepts of what the cards are and mean. And like I'm gonna have to make. I printed up my own set of cards for them and laminated them, but I'm gonna have to go to a custom card shop one day and get a real set printed up, custom. But anyway, those just a little look at some of the. I like that one. Some pencil art, got inked, got colored. All right, you guys all have a good week out there.